So Doom the Dark Ages is out, and like you, I've been playing it a lot. I haven't finished it. I'm about 12-ish hours in, so a little bit over halfway through the game. And I've noticed with a lot of online reviews that I've watched with the game that people are kind of dunking on it a little bit. There's been a bit of a trend to kind of hate on the Dark Ages. And I think there's fair criticism for this game, absolutely. But to say that it's bad or to dunk on it as much as people have been doing, I'm not so sure I agree with that. So what I instead propose is that we need to reframe how we're viewing this game. What I want to talk about is an idea of not judging this game based on how it fits in as a sequel to something like Doom Eternal, but how it fits into the overall Doom trilogy and looking at this series of games in a broader perspective. Quick thoughts on the game itself. I have really enjoyed it. The heavy stand and fight combat is a lot of fun, and yes, parrying is like the big new thing in games these days, but you can't deny it's a fun mechanic when you finally get it down. The parry windows are pretty generous in this one at the somewhat lowered. Even on the higher difficulties, honestly, it's pretty generous. And the new open world style isn't for everybody, but I had a good time exploring it. The pace is still decently fast. It's not quite to the standard of Eternal where you're flying around the map all the time, but it's good. It feels more like 2016, and the open world map design might not be for everybody, but for what it's worth, I had a fun exploring a few levels. There are some interesting decisions like the dragon and the mech levels. I think the dragon levels are actually pretty good, Panzer Dragoon, but I don't know about the mechs. Not really my cup of tea. They're kind of shallow. The story is also ridiculous and not in a really good way for me. I just never really cared about anything that was going on. But overall, good game. I'm having a good time playing it. And I like that it's different. I'm enjoying that it's different. I'm cool parrying things. This is a new game. I didn't want to play Doom Eternal again. If I wanted to play that game again, I would go back and play it. However, I understand why some people want to go back to that game or want a more refined version of Doom Eternal. I feel like the devs probably thought they couldn't top what they did on Doom Eternal, so they pushed for something different, and they did a good job with it. However, when I watch videos for reviews of this game, a lot of times they kind of follow this formula. The reviewer will be up and they say, Doom the Dark Ages is good, but it's not my kind of Doom, or it's good, but it has issues, or something along those lines. And then they'll talk about how it's not Eternal and it's not fast, and they don't prefer the stand and fight kind of style versus, you know, swinging from hooks and double dashing and ripping things apart with glory kills. And then they'll circle back to the end and give it a couple minutes and say, oh, well, yeah, this is actually still a great game. Despite all of that, it's still really good. I enjoyed myself and you should definitely play it. There's a ton of kind of instances like that. Just look at some of the review summaries over on Metacritic. They all have pretty good scores, but take a look at this one. This experimentation strays away from Doom 2016's formula, which may alienate FPS purists even more than Eternal did. Here's another. In the shadow of Doom Eternal, though, the more varied set pieces and mechanical combat cause its flame to burn just a bit less bright than I was hoping for. Here's another one. Doom the Dark Ages shakes up the franchise with bold visuals and a brutal arsenal, even if it falls short of the relentless pace set by its predecessors. And the lowest rated score on the website was reasoned like this. I don't enjoy this style of Doom compared to that of the previous two games. It's just not the Doom I've grown to love. That said, The Dark Ages is in no way a bad game, but is this game really worthy of a 6.5 because they didn't like the direction it went in? I've played games that are worse than a 7 out of 10, and this is absolutely not one of them. I'm not saying that it's unfair to voice your opinion that you don't like Doom the Dark Ages. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. I actually don't really prefer it to Eternal or 2016. I think it's probably the lowest on the rung, but I don't know, that's for another time. The Dark Ages might not be to your taste, but that doesn't make it a bad game, nor does it make it a disappointment. It's actually exactly what Microsoft marketed it to be.
In Doom Eternal, you felt like a fighter jet. In Doom the Dark Ages, you'll be an iron tank. Heavy, strong, but still fast. A grounded combat system with an emphasis on power over the acrobatics of Doom Eternal.
They told us ever since it was announced that this wasn't rip and tear, this was stand and fight. So instead of comparing this game to Eternal, I think we need to take a step back, look at this Doom reboot trilogy, and appreciate how great the whole trilogy really is. I mean, think about it. Doom 2016 is more gunplay focused. There's great guns, the movement isn't as crazy as Eternal, there's not as much equipment or different mechanics that you need to do. It's more pure gunplay, and it feels like classic Doom, which is exactly what it needed to be. Doom Eternal is a evolution of that. Now the guns all play a purpose. It's not just a rip and tear fly all over the place game. It's very thoughtful in its chaos. You need to rip demons apart and glory kill them to get health. You need to set them on fire to get armor. You need to use the chainsaw to get ammo. All of the guns serve a different purpose. There are some demons that are weak to some things and strong against others. You're really encouraged to use the whole arsenal. And then there's Doom the Dark Ages, a game that does things a little bit differently. It still has a lot of the things that makes Doom Doom. The gunplay is fantastic, although you're not incentivized to use every gun like you are in Eternal. The movement speed is fun, it's fast action, the music, while not as good as the other two games, is still pumping and heavy, and the whole idea of tearing apart demons is pretty alive and well here. It's done a little bit differently, but I don't think it's a bad thing. And so all of this brings me back to one point that Bethesda made in that same developer direct that I just showed you a clip from. I feel like we kind of missed the plot on this one, like it just flew under the radar.
You know, we want every Doom game to stand on its own, as a unique experience. So in 2016, we asked you to run and gun. In Doom Eternal, it was jump and shoot. And in Doom the Dark Ages, you're gonna stand and fight.
That is exactly what Bethesda wanted. They wanted us not to view this game as a successor to Doom Eternal, probably because they couldn't follow up on that game. It was like near perfect. Instead, they tried something different, and they did a great job with it. Looking at these games as a whole, this trilogy, it's fantastic. I mean, how often do we get a game trilogy that is this good? Sure, there's going to be one that probably gets the bad rap or the black sheep or the Kevin Love treatment out of all of this, but at the end of the day, they're all expertly crafted first-person shooters and some of the best ever released. Think of them all like a fine ballet. That's what I'm going to go with here. Doom 2016 is kind of the starting steps of it all. You get your running and gunning. It feels like classic Doom. Doom Eternal is an evolution that goes for speed and swiftness, like, I don't know, a ballerina flying across the stage, definitely an expert at her craft or whatever. Doom the Dark Ages is the big ending where the ensemble all arrives out on the stage for a grand number that's loud and heavy in a big march. I think we need to look at them all not as individual games that are trying to top each other, but instead as a trilogy that tries to build and to do something different with each entry. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say in my little defense of Doom the Dark Ages. If you guys agree with me or if you think that I'm an idiot, respectfully tell me what you think in the comments, and I would love to start this discussion here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. My name is Evan. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. I gotta get that one out of the way. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.